My talk today honors the women of the Arab Revolution and is dedicated to the distinguished members of our network who are at the forefront of advancing women's equality under law. Our network is animated by the vision that was declared so evocatively and powerfully by the Nobel Committee in 2011 when it declared, "We cannot achieve democracy and lasting peace in the world unless women obtain the same opportunities as men to influence development at all levels of society." This is the vision that imbues our own network. In the aftermath of the Egyptian Revolution, nearly a year ago, the Wellesley Centers for Women at Wellesley College, in partnership with the Ministry of the Interior of the Kingdom of Morocco, convened a historic strategic roundtable on women leading change in the Arab world and Muslim communities. This seminar brought together leading women's rights advocates from the Arab world and other Muslim communities to discuss and strategize ways to honor and sustain the spirit of the Arab revolutions. While celebrating the transformations to more democratic processes of government, the women leaders who gathered together in Morocco, Rabat, in 2011, were very concerned about the ways in which the promise of the Arab Spring was being eroded by the paucity of women in transitional justice processes and institutions. Another concern was the violence against women, especially the attacks on Egyptian women on International Women's Day on March 8th. At Tahrir Square, the very square that nourished a historic emancipatory project a few months ago. As troubling were the efforts to roll back some of the gains that were achieved previous to the Arab revolutions. For example, there were threats against some of the gender equal provisions that were enshrined in the children's law, which called for anti-female genital mutilation provisions and anti-child marriage laws. Our strategic roundtable provided a critical space at a very critical time in history to reflect on the role of women in political transformations and to identify some of the challenges and the impediments to women's role in the vanguard of political reform in the Arab world and the ways in which the lessons of the Arab Revolution and its aftermath could animate women's advancement around the world.